How you guys doing? This is John Hansis, Crane Worldwide. I'm coming to you with some other topics that I had gotten questions over around the ocean and marine transport. I'd like to introduce Mike Swert from our office. He can go over some of that stuff for you, maybe key terms that he may be seeing or things that you guys may want to keep in mind when you're looking at marine transport or anything of that nature. So with that, I will kick it over to Mike.
Thanks, John. So I'm here, folks, today to talk a little bit about ocean Incoterms, specifically when working with your overseas suppliers in China, Europe, South America, wherever it may be. I find in my line of work, account management, that a lot of times my clients and customers don't necessarily know what their Incoterms are. So I'm just going to touch on a couple different Incoterms today. So first and foremost, I think when you're looking at your ocean freight spend, I think it's most important to actually look at the FOB, freight on board Incoterm. So what freight on board means is it's port to door. Very straightforward. It's just your ocean freight cost from port for where you actually indicate like the port name. So when a lot of times people actually when they say FOB, they just say my terms are FOB, but that's actually not correct. Your terms an FOB in a specific port of loading. So for example, let's say you have a shipment coming from southern China and it's coming out of the Shenzhen region and it's coming here to Boston. So what your supplier would actually have to indicate is that it's FOB Shenzhen. So I find that to be a big part of confusion a lot of times when working with our customers here. Another thing as well is that a lot of times suppliers overseas actually build in the shipping costs into the product of the good that you're buying. So it's very good to come to terms with your suppliers and differentiate the cost of shipping from the cost of the actual product. So with that said, there's also another Incoterm, X Works, which is the whole kit and caboodle from the supplier door all the way to your door that you would actually be responsible for under collect terms. So that's the door-to-door import ocean Incoterm. You also have FCA, freight carrier alongside, and then you also have FAS, free alongside ship. Two Incoterms that are not used as frequently, at least in my experience. FCA being that you're actually responsible for the terminal charges as well as the ocean freight up to your door, and FAS is actually just getting it up to the terminal and alongside the ship. So should I go into export ones too?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, and then on the export side of things, we run into I would say 3 or 4 different Incoterms that are most common. The first and foremost being DAP. That's probably the most prevalent ones because often when you're shipping here out of the United States to a foreign carrier, that the consignee in that country would like to use their own broker. So we do a lot of DAP, which is door-to-door, delivered at place. So the customs clearance is on behalf of the consignee there. We also do a lot of CFR, cost and freight. So CFR is terms where it's just door to port, and if once the freight's arrived to the destination port, the responsibility for the freight and cost of shipping then falls onto behalf of the consignee. There's also DDP, delivery duty paid, where the shipper is then responsible for everything, sort of like the X Works and the kit and caboodle for the export side, where you're paying everything, including the duties and taxes for door-to-door service from your dock to your consignee's dock overseas. Not as frequent, but we definitely do certainly handle some DDP for people that are not as familiar with their consignee or maybe are entering a new relationship there. You also have CIF, cost, insurance, and freight, where it's similar to the CFR term. It's a door-to-port term, but you're also including the cost of insurance in your shipping. So yeah, there's several other Incoterms. We touched upon X Works, FCA. There's also CPT. There's CIP. There's DAT, DAP, DDP. These are all Incoterms from the 2015 Incoterm release for world trade. We have here our handy dandy Crane Worldwide summary sheet for Incoterms that we'd be happy to share with you if you ever have any questions about this. John, I don't know if you have any questions for me regarding this.
I would say the one question in particular would be, what would be your biggest tip to someone that might be new to the exporting or importing side as it pertains to ocean freight? Would it be Incoterms? Would it be, understanding different topics, or maybe getting more familiar with ports?
I think definitely understanding, your geography and which port is going to be corresponding to where your supplier in the world may be. I think it's the biggest tip that I would have for suppliers, manufacturers, our customers here in the U.S. when purchasing from overseas, as I mentioned before, is just coming to terms with your supplier on what the Incoterms are going to be. I feel like if you don't do that, your freight spend is going to be much higher, and not that your supplier is going to cheat you, but they're going to try to build those transportation costs into your cost of the product, so you don't really know what you're paying for when it comes to your unit cost. So overall, your supply chain becomes more expensive. So I would definitely stress that understanding these Incoterms is a very important thing. And when you're looking at the cost of your manufacturing and your procurement, I would definitely always try to separate that from your transportation costs, and that's where we at Crane become your trusted advisor when it comes to getting those shipping costs for you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate
John?
it. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And we'll come back to you with another series. Keep those questions and comments coming, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.